So welcome to In Conversation with Evergreen London Consulting, where we discuss the intersection between business and sustainability with a focus on people, profit and planet. I'm Natasha Roberts. I'm the founder of Evergreen London Consulting and your host. Today, I have the pleasure of talking to Tracy Davies, who is the founder and director of Coco Accounting, which provides chartered accountant services to SMEs. Tracy's professionalism is in par with our care to deliver the best for our customers. She's passionate about tax, accounting, effective system and efficient systems, and on a personal side, passionate about horses. Welcome, Tracy, and thank you for joining the conversation.
Hello.
So let's start with your work. Could you tell me in a very kind of clear language, what does that mean to be Director of Coco Accounting, and what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
My main role is obviously liaising with clients, making sure that they have full understanding of any queries around their accounts and tax, and just generally assisting them in any way I can. So sort of just being a point of contact for them when they've got queries. Off the backside of that, I do accounts preparation. So every year a company has to file its accounts to Companies House and HMRC, which is HM Revenue Customs, and they also have to send in a company tax return. If obviously they're a limited company, so I prepare all of those documents from the source records and get them into the correct format to make sure they're all compliant. I also complete directors and self-employed individuals' personal self-assessment tax returns, which again is just making sure everything's gone in the right format on the right boxes in the returns so they're compliant. I also do payroll. So for paying your staff, you will give me their salary, the hours, and I'll put it into software that generates the pay slips for the employees, and if you use, you know how much to pay them.
Amazing.
I also liaise with HMRC on behalf of clients, so they don't have to do that.
So you're the one spending time on call with our lovely HMRC service. Nice.
I am.
Thank you. So you look at both the business side and the personal side of the owner of the company.
Yeah. So I holistically look at the individual and the company to ensure that everything's being done A, correctly, and B, as tax efficiently as we can with the rules we currently have.
Amazing.
Which are constantly changing.
And do you have a kind of a sweet spot in terms of size of SMEs, or?
Yeah, my sweet spot is anything really up to sort of £2 million turnover, because once a client gets above that size, they generally need more in-house support and less reliant on someone like me. So I have less contact. I do like to have contact with my directors just because I get to know them and their business, and I can help them more. When they grow above that, they have in-house people, and I just don't get to know them as well. And I just don't feel that I give the same quality advice I can do because I don't have the contact, so I don't know.
Okay. Wow. And then, so talking about this relationship with the funders and the director, is it one part you really like, or do you prefer the more kind of core accounting side of it?
I like to get to know. I like to get to know clients. I really do. I like to know what they're doing, what they're up to, because the more I know, I can then, when I'm looking at their numbers and their accounts, I can interpret it better to give them advice based off it that's more specific, rather than just, well, your turnover's up, your turnover's down. It's like I can look at it, and if I know they've been going through a struggle because they lost a client or whatever, I can say, well, I can see your turnover's down, but when I can break it down a bit further, I can see it's gone down and then back up again. So you're obviously all good. Or I can sort of look at their overheads and say, well, your overheads have done this. If you sort of look at efficiency with your tech stack, or just examples of what I can do.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what is, if you had to choose only one part, what's your favorite part of your job?
Probably analysing stuff. I really like sort of getting into the nitty-gritty of the numbers, especially when I start and compare. I get a new client, I compare year on year for the first time, just sort of it gives me a chance to delve into it a little bit and see what's going on. Some clients are very straightforward, so it doesn't take very long, but others are a bit more complex, and that's quite fun sometimes. I'm a little bit a geek.
Yes, and the challenge and the phasing and the issue they're facing.
Yeah, especially if you've got clients that don't bill regularly and they're sort of a bit more cyclical, it sometimes can throw, if it crosses a year end, it can sometimes throw your numbers, or they've got a big project coming in and they've started, it can do stuff with it. So.
And are you specialised in in an industry, or you're?
No, I'm not. I don't specialise in industry. There's a few industries I tend to steer away from. I don't have anything to do with charities, because it's not that I don't like charities, it's just they have a specific set of accounting rules. So it's another set of rules to keep up with all the time, and it's a lot for just like one or two clients. So I just tend to steer charities to other accountants that do specialise in them. There's a few out there that really specialise in charities just because they run under this separate set of rules. And they also require specialist software for the accounts production, because they usually have something called restricted funds and unrestricted funds, which is to do with the way the donations are made or the grants are given. So it all gets a bit more complex, and it's something I don't want to. It doesn't feel a good use of my time.
Okay, you're efficient then in terms of.
Yeah, I try to be. I like to stick with what I know and not spread myself too thin. I'd rather say to somebody I don't know than guess or budget my way through.
Good skill, mostly for a chartered accountant. That's definitely safer. Thank you. So kind of I wanted to move into sustainability, and one of the questions I ask people coming on this conversation is, what does sustainability mean for you as a business and as a person?
I think of sustainability for me, I think, is not overusing resources, but also trying to be as efficient as possible with resources. I think that's how I sort of look at it. It's like not everything's black and white, so that you need to be in the grey area and manage things more. I believe it's not, this is completely bad and this is completely good. I think that the area of grey has to be able to continue to be productive as a business and to live efficiently and sort of sustainably as a person. You need to be in the grey area, because as much as everyone wants to do exactly what's right, it's just not always possible, either financially or practically, to be fair.
Yeah, it's good summary. So kind of looking at how you use your tools, because I mean I know you use Xero quite a lot and QuickBooks sometimes, and then how do you, from a personal point of view, how do you kind of consume, I suppose, shopping and food and things like that, caring about that and making sure.
Yeah, I mean, from a business point of view, I try to encourage all my clients to be as digital as possible. So no unnecessary printing, everything. Most suppliers will now supply digital receipts and digital invoices. So my big thing is that as much as possible, everything is digital. I have two clients that deliver me paper records out of 100. So I don't think that's too bad. And one of them is just turned 80. So I think
we give an exception on that one.
I've made an exception for them. So I mean, they still give me a written up cash book with their receipts. So but they're lovely. They're really nice people. And I'm like, there's no point. They don't like technology. They're not going to adopt it. It's so I mean, they're the one client I do write paper letters to and do paper tax returns for. All the rest of my
clients, sign it.
They physically sign it, and then I have to scan it in so it matches up to the rest of my records, but they do physically. But all my other clients all digitally e-sign everything possible. There are a couple of legal documents that sometimes have to be wet signed, but that's not my choice. That's purely down to the rules of either HMRC or Companies House. There's a couple of particular documents that do have to have a wet signature still, and I don't actually know why in this day and age, but
She's quite old-fashioned, but
yeah.
she's
So
good.
for everything else is easier. Personally, I mean, I try to be environmentally friendly as I can. I unfortunately live in the middle of nowhere. I have no public transport, so I do have to use my car more than I would otherwise like. We're not even on a bus route for my daughter to go to school, so I do have to drive her to school and back every day. So it's not great, but it is what it is, and I just do the best. I just try and make, it's like if I know I've got to go somewhere, I do try and go when I'm picking her up or dropping her off. So I'll go and drop her at school and then go and do my jobs, and then so I try and tie it in from that side of it. And
you optimize your route, so then you
yeah,
have to come
yeah.
in and out. Well, that's good. It's a good thing. And what about your horses? So kind of, I know you're passionate about horses. It's also on your logo.
Yes, I am. I love my horses. I have two of them.
Oh,
Yeah, and they sort of, but it's a nice environmentally friendly hobby, I believe. It's like it doesn't use anything. But for them, I try and source the hay. I source locally. Someone in the next village grows it and then delivers it to me. So literally they grow it, cut it, and that and they're like 2 miles away from me. So I mean, I don't think you can get much more local than that. So I try not to, there's certain things you can't help, like the actual feed, that some of the feed they eat, it's manufactured by 5 or 6 manufacturers in this country, so it's shipped, but I just do the best I can to shop locally for them. And
yeah, it's the balance between that you said, in between kind of also price versus sustainability.
Yeah, there's sometimes there's not an option that's available. So
good. Yeah, so I think it's good. And there's no option in horse riding to your daughter's school.
No.
No, that
It'd
would
take
be
too
fun.
long, and yeah,
That would be quite something. I think she would be really hiding.
well, she's got
to you
prom.
forever, but
She's got prom in a couple of weeks' time, and she wanted to go to prom on the horse, and I was like,
okay.
I just don't know logistically how I can make that work. I just can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, I think there's no way where you can park the horse anymore.
No, I mean, I was like, if I could think of a way to do it, I would have done it. But prom is like 7 miles away, so I'm like, I can't even think of anywhere that we could put them in a horse box and take them and do that. So I'm like, no, it's not happening. It's not happening.
Not happening. Okay, thank you for that. And there's a question about action. So one of the things I'm quite keen on this conversation is saying, what would be one thing that you would do in your work to push your sustainability message a bit further?
I don't know what one thing, but the one thing I probably do with any new client is to digitize them straight away, because a lot of them aren't on a digital system when they come to me, especially new businesses. They're still keeping the paper receipts, etc. So, or printing invoices, and I'm like, no, you don't need to do that. You just need to keep them on your computer, keep them in a folder, and then get them set up on a system so that they can. I think that's probably the biggest thing I do.
Good. And the last question I've got for me is like, what would you advise or tell your 20 years old self to do differently or think differently?
I think just believe you're more capable than you thought you were at the time. Honestly, I was in accountancy at 20 years old, but I never had the ambition at that point to run my own business. It was a job, and it stayed that way for quite a while. It did take a change of job to make me start to grow and actually expand what I could do. But yeah, just believe you can be the boss, because I could have got there sooner had I focused that energy at a younger age. And I think that's great for anyone that sort of is of that age and is starting out a career, to know that they can do it. You don't have to be an employee for the rest of your life. I mean, it doesn't, some people don't have that ambition, but if it's in you, it's worth knowing you can do it.
Amazing. Believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, amazing. Good. Good conclusion for our discussion. Well, thank you. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for joining the second In Conversation podcast with Evergreen, and have a lovely day.